The crystal cities of Keth Prime burned under alien fire. Ambassador Zeftos watched from his tower as the enemy ships moved like dark clouds across the purple sky. Each flash of their weapons meant another building turned to dust. Each explosion meant more of his people were dead. The Vrak Empire had come to harvest their world. Zeftos touched the communication panel with a shaking hand. His crystal body glowed dim blue with fear. Around him, other Cathari ran through the halls. Their light was fading too. Fear did that to their kind. It made their inner light grow weak. Any ship that can hear this message, Zeftos spoke into the transmitter. His voice was calm, but his light flickered. This is Ambassador Zeftos of the Cathari Coalition. We are under attack. Our worlds are dying. Above him, another enemy ship fired. The building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Zeftos could hear screaming from the lower levels. His people were trapped. The Vrak had surrounded their planet 3 days ago. No escape ships could get through. The Vrak Empire is destroying everything, he continued. They take our crystal cores for their machines. They take our people for their food factories. We have tried to fight, but we are not warriors. We grow things, we build things, we make art and music. We do not know how to kill. The truth hurt to say. The Cathari had always been proud of their peaceful ways. They had built a coalition of 12 species who shared their values. They believed that intelligence and cooperation could solve any problem. They were wrong. We have heard stories, Zeftos said. Old stories from the edge of space. Stories about Deathworlders. Beings who come from planets so dangerous that they turned into killers. Predators who hunt other predators. We always thought these were just scary tales to frighten children. He paused. Outside he could see Vrak soldiers in their black armor walking through the streets. They carried weapons that could melt crystal with a single shot. Behind them came the harvester machines, large metal beasts that would cut apart their buildings and take the crystal cores that powered their civilization. If Deathworlders are real, Zeftos whispered into the transmitter, if you exist somewhere in the dark between stars, please help us. We know we have nothing to offer you. We know you probably think we are weak, but we are dying. Our children are dying. If there is any mercy in your killer hearts, please come. The transmission went out on all emergency frequencies. It would travel through hyperspace to every corner of known space. Most species would ignore it. The ones who could help were either too far away or too scared of the Vrak Empire. But maybe, just maybe, someone would hear. 3,000 light-years away, Captain Sarah Chen sat in the monitoring station of Frontier Post Omega-7. It was a small outpost on the edge of human space. Her job was to listen to alien communications and report anything interesting to Earth. Most days nothing happened. She drank coffee and listened to trade disputes and weather reports. Today was different. Sarah's computer translated the Cathari language automatically. As she listened to Ambassador Zeftos speak, her coffee grew cold. The desperation in his voice came through even after translation. These people were dying, and they had asked for Deathworlders. Sarah smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a predator who had found prey. Humans had been hiding from the galaxy for 200 years. When they first achieved faster-than-light travel, they had explored carefully. They learned about the galactic community by watching from the shadows. They discovered that most alien species came from gentle worlds, planets with mild weather and plant-eating animals. These aliens had never learned to fight like humans had. Earth was different. Earth was a death world. Sarah had grown up on a planet where hurricanes could destroy cities, where earthquakes could swallow mountains, where animals with teeth longer than her arm had once hunted her ancestors. Humans had survived by becoming better killers than everything else on their world. The aliens called such places death worlds. They whispered about them in their myths and legends, planets so harsh that they created monsters. Most aliens believed death worlds were just stories. They could not imagine any species surviving in such conditions. Sarah opened a priority channel to Fleet Command on Earth. Admiral Torres answered within minutes. His face appeared on her screen, scarred from the border wars against the AI rebellion. His eyes were the pale blue of winter ice. Report, Captain, Torres said. Sir, we have received a distress call from the Cathari Coalition. They are under attack by something called the Vrak Empire. They specifically asked for help from Deathworlders. Torres raised an eyebrow. Deathworlders? Yes, sir. They seem to think we are myths. The transmission suggests they believe Deathworlders are beings from harsh planets who specialize in violence. They are not wrong. Sarah sent him the translation of the message. Torres listened without expression. When it finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Sarah could see him thinking. The Admiral was known for his strategic mind. He had never lost a battle in 30 years of service. Captain, Torres finally said, do we have intelligence on this Vrak Empire? Basic information, sir. They appear to be a typical galactic predator species, advanced technology, but they rely on intimidation more than actual fighting ability. They target peaceful species who cannot defend themselves. Standard bullying tactics. And the Cathari? Herbivorous crystal-based life forms, highly intelligent, peaceful, completely non-violent. They have built a coalition of similar species across about 50 star systems. No military capability to speak of. Torres nodded. How many Vrak ships? Unknown, sir. But based on the reports, probably a standard conquest fleet. Maybe 200 ships. 200 ships attacking peaceful aliens who asked Deathworlders for help. Torres showed his teeth. It was not a smile. It was a warning display. Captain Chen, send a message to the Cathari. Tell them the Deathworlders received their call. Tell them we are coming. What should I tell them about our arrival time, sir? Tell them to hold on for 72 hours. After that, their problems become our problems. The channel closed. Sarah composed the message carefully. She wanted to get the tone right. The Cathari expected monsters from Deathworlds. She should not disappoint them. Ambassador Zeftos of the Cathari Coalition, she began. Your transmission has been received by the Terran Defense Fleet. We are the Deathworlders you sought. We are coming to end your war. Prepare for our arrival. Hold your positions for 72 hours. After that time, any ship in your space that does not belong to you will be destroyed. She paused, then added, Welcome to the protection of Earth. Back on Keith Prime, Zeftos received the message 6 hours later. He was hiding in the underground tunnels beneath his city. Most of the towers above had been destroyed. The Vrak were bringing in more harvester machines every hour. When the computer translated the message, Zeftos felt his crystal body pulse with bright light. Around him, other survivors looked up. They had not seen such brightness from any of their people in days. What is it? Asked Femara, a young Cathari who had lost her family in the first attack. The Deathworlders answered. Zeftos whispered, They are real. They are coming. The message spread through the tunnel networks. It passed from one survivor group to another. For the first time since the invasion began, the Cathari felt hope. Their crystals began to glow brighter. On the surface, Vrak Commander Thaklos received reports of increased Cathari communications. His red eyes narrowed as he read the intercepted messages. The prey species was talking about rescue, about something called Deathworlders. Thaklos laughed. It was a harsh sound like breaking glass. The Vrak had conquered 40 systems in the past century. They had fought every major military power in this region of space. No one could challenge their fleet. Commander, his aide said, should we investigate these Deathworlders? Myths and legends, Thaklos replied. The prey species will create any fantasy to feel better about dying. Increase the harvesting rate. I want this planet stripped clean in 48 hours. What if they are real, sir? Thaklos showed his fangs. The Vrak were descendants of pack hunters. Their teeth were designed for tearing meat. Their claws could cut through steel. They wore armor that could stop most energy weapons. No prey species had ever defeated them in direct combat. If these Deathworlders exist, Thaklos said, they will learn what happens when someone interferes with Vrak conquest. We will add their skulls to our trophy collection. In space above Keth Prime, the Vrak fleet continued its blockade. 200 ships surrounded the planet like a metal web. Nothing could get in or out. The admiral of the fleet, Grokvar, had done this many times before. The pattern was always the same. Surround the planet, destroy any military forces, then harvest everything valuable. Grokvar did not believe in Deathworlders either. In his 50 years of conquest, he had never met a species that could not be broken. The key was to be more violent than your enemy. The Vrak were very good at violence, but the Vrak had never fought humans. 72 hours later, the edge of Cathari space lit up with new stars. 50 human ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Each ship was a kilometer long and covered with weapons. They looked like metal predators built for killing. The lead ship was the UES Indomitable, flagship of Admiral Marcus Torres. On the bridge, Torres studied the tactical display. 200 Vrak ships versus 50 human ships. The odds looked bad for anyone who did not know humans. Communications, Torres said. Open a channel to the Vrak fleet. Channel open, sir. Torres stood up. He was a tall man with scars on his face and hands. His uniform was simple and practical. No decorations except for his rank insignia. Human military culture did not believe in showing off. Vrak fleet, Torres said. This is Admiral Marcus Torres of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are in violation of interstellar law by attacking peaceful civilians. Withdraw from this system immediately, or we will remove you. The response came quickly. Admiral Grokvar appeared on the screen. He was a massive creature with red scales and yellow eyes. His mouth was full of sharp teeth. Behind him, other Vrak officers snarled and showed their claws. I am Admiral Grokvar of the Vrak Empire, the alien said. You will. Surrender your ships and prepare to be processed. Your bones will make fine decorations for my flagship. Torres nodded politely. I see. Thank you for clarifying your position, Admiral. You have chosen violence. He made a gesture to his communications officer. The channel closed. All ships, Torres announced on the fleet frequency. The Vrak have declined our offer of mercy. Begin Operation Apex Predator. Show them why Earth is called a death world. The human fleet moved forward like a pack of hunting wolves. The human fleet moved through space like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Each ship was a work of brutal art. Sharp angles and thick armor plates covered weapons that could crack planets. The aliens who designed most galactic ships believed in beauty and efficiency. Humans believed in survival. Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the tactical display. 50 human ships against 200 Vrak vessels. The numbers looked bad, but Torres had fought worse. Odds humans were used to being outnumbered. Their whole planet had taught them that lesson. Tactical analysis? Torres asked. Commander Lisa Park, his second-in-command, pulled up the data. Vrak ships are typical galactic standards, sir. Energy shields, plasma weapons, decent armor. They rely on overwhelming firepower and intimidation. Their formations suggest they expect enemies to run when they see the size of their fleet. Weaknesses? They cluster their ships for maximum visual impact. No defensive spacing. Their weapons are designed for destroying cities and space stations, not fighting other warships. They have never fought anyone who shoots back effectively. Torres nodded. The Vrak were bullies. They picked on peaceful species who could not defend themselves. They had grown lazy and overconfident. That was about to become a fatal mistake. Sir, the communications officer reported, we are receiving transmissions from the Cathari on the planet's surface. They want to know if we are really going to fight the entire Vrak fleet. Tell them to watch and learn, Torres replied. Today, they see why humans are the galaxy's apex predator. The human ships spread out into attack formation. Unlike the Vrak fleet, which stayed bunched together like a fist, the human ships moved like hunting wolves. They created overlapping fields of fire while maintaining the ability to support each other. Every ship could defend any other ship in the formation. On the Vrak flagship, Admiral Grokvar watched the human formation with growing confusion. Most prey species either ran away or charged straight at them. These Deathworlders were doing neither. They were moving in patterns that made no sense to a Vrak mind. Are they trying to surround us? asked his tactical officer. Impossible, Grokvar snarled. They have 50 ships, we have 200. They cannot surround anything. But the humans were not trying to surround the Vrak fleet. They were positioning themselves to control the battle space. Every human ship captain had studied thousands of years of human warfare. They knew about tactics the Vrak had never imagined. Incoming transmission from the human fleet, the communications officer reported. Put it on screen, Grokvar ordered. Admiral Torres appeared again. This time he was wearing battle armor. The armor was black and covered with sensors and weapons. It made him look like a metal predator. Behind him, the human bridge crew worked with calm efficiency. No one was excited or afraid. They looked like they did this every day. Admiral Grokvar, Torres said, this is your final warning. Withdraw from this system or face the consequences. We do not wish to destroy you, but we will, if necessary. Grokvar laughed. You have 50 ships, human. I have 200. You are outnumbered 4-1. Surrender now and I will kill you quickly. Torres smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator who had found easy prey. Admiral, Torres said quietly, you are not fighting 50 ships. You are fighting 50 human ships. There is a difference. The transmission ended. All ships, Torres announced on the fleet frequency. Commence attack. Weapons free. Show them why we are called Deathworlders. The human fleet attacked. The difference was immediately obvious. Vrak ships fired in straight lines with predictable patterns. Human ships fired like they were hunting living prey. Their weapons curved and twisted through space, targeting weak points and exploiting gaps in enemy formations. The first Vrak ship to die was a heavy cruiser that thought it was safely hidden behind two other vessels. A human destroyer called the Fenrir fired a spread of guided missiles that went around the other ships and hit the cruiser from 6 different angles. The Vrak ship exploded before its crew knew they were under attack. How did they do that? Grokvar demanded. His tactical officer studied the sensor readings. Their missiles have advanced guidance systems, sir. They can think and adapt during flight. Our weapons are designed to hit fixed targets. The human missiles were not just guided, they were smart. Each missile had a small computer that could identify targets, choose attack angles, and coordinate with other missiles. Humans had learned to make their weapons think like hunters. The second Vrak ship died when the human cruiser Normandy used something called a kinetic kill vehicle. Instead of firing energy weapons, the Normandy shot a solid chunk of metal at incredible speed. The projectile went through the Vrak ship's shields like they were not there, and punched a hole completely through the hull. What was that weapon? Grokvar shouted. Unknown, sir. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons. That was a physical projectile moving at significant percentage of light speed. Humans had never forgotten their ancient weapons. While other species moved to energy weapons, humans had improved their kinetic weapons. A chunk of metal moving fast enough could destroy anything. The human fleet moved through the Vrak formation like sharks through fish. Every human ship captain knew how to hunt. They had grown up on a planet where everything was trying to kill them. They understood predator tactics in ways that no other species could match. The UES Wolverine demonstrated another human innovation: boarding pods. Instead of trying to destroy a Vrak battleship, the Wolverine fired a dozen pods at it. Each pod carried 20 human Marines in powered armor. The pods punched through the battleship's hull and deployed the Marines inside. The Vrak crew had never experienced boarding actions. Most galactic civilizations considered it too barbaric. Ships were supposed to fight each other at long range, with energy weapons. The idea of actually going inside an enemy ship and fighting hand-to-hand was unthinkable. It was not unthinkable to humans. The human Marines moved through the Vrak ship like they owned it. Their powered armor made them stronger and faster than any Vrak warrior. Their weapons were designed for close combat in confined spaces. Within 20 minutes, they had captured the entire ship. Sir, the Vrak tactical officer reported with a shaking voice. The humans have taken the destroyer's claw. The crew is requesting instructions. Grokvar stared at the tactical display. The humans had just captured one of his battleships. It was supposed to be impossible. Ships were destroyed in battle, not captured. Tell them to activate the self-destruct, Grokvar ordered. Sir, the human Marines have disabled the self-destruct system. They are now using the ship's weapons against us. The captured Vrak battleship turned its guns on the rest of the Vrak fleet. The humans had not just taken the ship. They had figured out how to use it. Human Marines were skilled at adapting enemy technology. Admiral Torres watched the battle from his command chair. The tactical display showed the Vrak formation falling apart. Vrak ships were trying to retreat, but human ships were hunting them, down one by one. The humans had broken the enemy fleet in less than an hour. Casualties? Torres asked. Minimal, sir. 3 ships with minor damage. No personnel losses. Torres nodded. It was a typical result when humans fought aliens who had never learned real warfare. The galaxy was full of species who thought they were predators because they had sharp teeth or claws. They did not understand what a real predator looked like. Sir, the communications officer reported, Admiral Grokvar is requesting parley. Put him on screen. Grokvar appeared on the display. His red scales had turned pale with fear. Behind him, smoke filled the bridge of his flagship. Emergency lights flashed red and yellow. The proud Vrak admiral looked like a broken animal. What are you? Grokvar whispered. We are humans, Torres replied. We come from a planet called Earth. Earth is what you call a death world. It taught us to hunt or die. We chose to hunt. This is impossible. No species can fight like this. No species can be this violent. Torres leaned forward in his chair. Admiral, you made a mistake. You attacked peaceful people who asked us for help. Humans protect the innocent. It is what we do. What do you want from us? Withdraw from this system immediately. Release any prisoners you have taken. Return any stolen property. Never come back. And if we refuse? Torres showed his teeth. Then we hunt down every Vrak ship in the galaxy. We have been hiding from galactic civilization for 200 years, Admiral. We know where you live. We know where your colonies are. We know where your fleets patrol. If you do not leave the Cathari alone, we will introduce your people to human warfare. Grokvar looked at his tactical display. Half his fleet was destroyed or captured. The other half was scattered and fleeing. The humans had done in 1 hour what no other species had managed in centuries of fighting the Vrak Empire. We will withdraw, Grokvar said quietly. Good choice, Torres replied. You have 6 hours to clear this system. Any Vrak ship still here after that time will be destroyed. The transmission ended. Torres turned to his communications officer. Send a message to the Cathari. Tell them the immediate threat is over. Tell them we would like to talk to their leadership. On the surface of Keth Prime, Ambassador Zeftos watched the battle through his Crystal City's sensors. The Deathworlders had destroyed the mighty Vrak fleet like it was nothing. The ships that had seemed so powerful and frightening were now burning wrecks floating in space. The Cathari had spent generations living in fear of the Vrak Empire. They had believed that nothing could stop the red-scaled warriors from taking whatever they wanted. In 1 hour, the humans had proven them wrong. Ambassador, Femara said, the humans want to meet with us. Zeftos felt his crystal body pulse with nervous light. The Deathworlders had saved them, but they were still Deathworlders, beings from a planet so harsh that it created killers. What would they want from the peaceful Cathari? Prepare the council chamber, Zeftos said. If we are going to meet monsters, we should do it properly. In space, the human fleet maintained orbit around Keth Prime. The Vrak ships were retreating toward the edge of the system. Some of them were so damaged they could barely move. Human ships escorted them to make sure they actually left. Admiral Torres stood in his ready room looking out at the crystal cities below. The Cathari homeworld was beautiful. Spires of living crystal reached toward the sky like frozen music. Gardens of strange plants covered the spaces between buildings. It was the kind of world that could only exist in a peaceful galaxy. Earth was different. Earth was a world of hurricanes and earthquakes, of predators and prey, of survival at any cost. It had made humans into something the galaxy had never seen before. something that could protect worlds like this one. Torres activated his personal communicator. Admiral Torres to Fleet Command Earth. Go ahead, Admiral. The Cathari system is secure. The Vrak fleet has been neutralized, requesting permission to establish formal contact with local authorities. Permission granted, Admiral. How did the engagement go? Torres looked out at the floating wreckage of Vrak ships. Like always, sir. They brought teeth to a gunfight. Understood. Proceed with first contact protocols. And Admiral? Yes, sir? Try not to scare them too much. We want allies, not traumatized refugees. Torres smiled. I will do my best, sir. Torres out. The Admiral looked out at the crystal cities one more time. Somewhere down there, peaceful beings who had never hurt anyone were trying to understand what humans were. They had asked for Deathworlders and gotten them. Now they would have to live with the consequences. The galaxy was about to change. For 200 years, humans had watched from the shadows while bullies like the Vrak Empire terrorized innocent species. Those days were over. The Deathworlders had come out of hiding. The human shuttle descended through the purple atmosphere of Keth Prime like a metal bird of prey. Inside, Admiral Torres adjusted his dress uniform one final time. First contact with an alien species was always important, but this time felt different. The Cathari had already seen what humans could do in battle. Now they would see what humans looked like up close. Landing in 2 minutes, Admiral, announced the pilot, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim. She had volunteered for this mission because she spoke 12 alien languages and had studied xenobiology at the Academy. She was also one of the few humans who could fly in the thick crystal formations surrounding the Cathari cities. Thank you, Commander. Try to land gently. We do not want to crack their landing pad on our first visit. The shuttle touched down in the center of Keth Prime's diplomatic district. Through the viewport, Torres could see crowds of Cathari watching from a safe distance. Their crystal bodies glowed in different colors, shifting from blue to green to purple. According to the intelligence briefings, the colors showed their emotional states. Right now, most of them looked afraid. Torres could not blame them. Humans were exactly what every peaceful species in the galaxy had nightmares about. Bipedal predators with forward-facing eyes and hidden weapons. Beings from a world so dangerous that it had forged them into killers. The shuttle ramp lowered with a soft hiss. Torres walked down it slowly, keeping his hands visible and his movements calm. Behind him came his aide, Commander Elena Vasquez, and 2 Marines in dress uniforms. The Marines carried no visible weapons, but Torres knew they had enough hidden armaments to fight their way through a small army. Ambassador Zeftos waited at the bottom of the ramp. He was taller than Torres had expected, nearly 7 feet high with a body made of what looked like living diamond. His light pulsed a nervous blue-green as the humans approached. Admiral Torres, Zeftos said in accented but clear English, welcome to Keth Prime. I am Ambassador Zeftos of the Cathari Coalition Council. We owe you our lives. Torres stopped 2 meters away and bowed slightly. Human diplomatic training emphasized respecting alien customs, even when the aliens were terrified of you. Ambassador Zeftos, Torres replied. It is an honor to meet you. We received your distress call and came as quickly as we could. We are sorry it took so long. 72 hours, Zeftos whispered. You crossed half the galaxy in 72 hours to help people you had never met. When innocent people call for help, humans answer. It is what we do. Zeftos studied Torres with large, multifaceted eyes. The human admiral was not what he had expected. The stories about Deathworlders described savage monsters who lived only for violence. Torres looked normal. Dangerous, yes, but also intelligent and controlled. His scarred face spoke of battles fought and survived, but his eyes showed compassion. Please, Zeftos said, follow me, the council is waiting to meet you. They walked through the crystal city toward the council chambers. Everywhere they went, Cathari stopped to stare. Most had never seen aliens before, certainly not aliens from a death world. The humans moved with a predator's grace. Each step, calculated and efficient. Their eyes constantly scanned for threats, a habit so ingrained they probably did not realize they were doing it. Admiral, Zeftos said as they walked. May I ask about your world? The place you call Earth? Torres considered how to answer. How do you explain a death world to someone who had never seen real danger? Earth is beautiful, Torres said finally. But it is also harsh. Our weather can destroy cities. Our oceans can swallow islands. Our land moves and shakes without warning. The animals on our world learn to hunt or be hunted. We learned the same lesson. And this made you into warriors? No, Torres replied. This made us into survivors. We became warriors to protect those who could not protect themselves. They reached the council chambers, a massive dome made of crystal that split sunlight into rainbow patterns. Inside, 12 Cathari waited around a circular table. Each represented one of the species in their coalition. All of them looked nervous. Torres and his team took seats at one side of the table. The chairs had been hastily modified to support human physiology. Someone had studied their anatomy and made adjustments. It was a thoughtful gesture that Torres appreciated. Before we begin, Torres said, I want to make something clear. Humans did not come here to conquer or control anyone. We came because you asked for help against an aggressor. We will leave whenever you ask us to leave. The Cathari around the hallway table exchanged glances. Their lights flickered in patterns that Commander Vasquez recognized as their equivalent of nervous whispering. Council leader Myth-Allah, an ancient Cathari whose body was deep purple with age, spoke first. Admiral Torres, we have watched the recordings of your battle with the Vrak fleet. We do not understand how you achieved such a victory. The Vrak Empire has conquered 40 star systems. They have never been defeated. They had never fought humans before, Torres replied simply, but you were outnumbered 4-1. Your ships were smaller than theirs. How did you win? Torres looked around the table. All the aliens were leaning forward waiting for his answer. They genuinely did not understand how the battle had been won. The Vrak made a fundamental error, Torres explained. They assumed that technology and numbers were the only factors that mattered in warfare. They were wrong. What other factors are there? Asked Myth-Allah. Training, experience, adaptability, the willingness to do whatever is necessary to protect innocent lives. Torres paused. The Vrak learned to fight by bullying peaceful species. Humans learned to fight by surviving on a world that was constantly trying to kill us. Commander Vasquez activated a small holographic projector. Images of Earth appeared, above the table. The aliens gasped as they saw hurricanes that could flatten cities, volcanic eruptions that could change the climate, earthquakes that could split continents. This is our homeworld, Vasquez explained. Every day on Earth is a struggle for survival. Our ancestors faced predators with teeth longer than your bodies. They survived ice ages that lasted thousands of years. They endured plagues that killed millions. Each generation became stronger, smarter, more adaptable. Your world tried to kill you, whispered Famara, and you survived. More than survived, Torres said. We learned from it. Earth taught us that the universe is not safe or fair. It taught us that if we wanted to protect the things we cared about, we had to become stronger than anything that might threaten them. The images changed to show human cities, human art, human families. The aliens saw that humans were not just killers. They were builders, creators, protectors. They had taken the harsh lessons of their world and used them to build something beautiful. We developed our technology differently than most species, Vasquez continued. While you created tools for building and healing, we created tools for fighting and surviving. Our ships are not beautiful like yours, but they are effective. Our weapons are not elegant, but they work. Myth-Allah studied the images carefully. Your species learned to wage war as an art form. War is not art, Torres said firmly. War is a tool. Sometimes it is the only tool that works against those who choose violence over negotiation. The Vrak chose to attack innocent people. We chose to stop them. What will happen now? Asked Zeftos. Will you stay? Will you leave? Will other humans come? Torres had been expecting this question. That depends on what you want, Ambassador. Humans can offer you protection from aggressors, like the Vrak Empire. We can share some of our defensive technology. We can help you build your own military forces. But all of this is only if you want it. And what would you want in return? Friendship, Torres said simply. Trade, cultural exchange, the chance to learn from peaceful species like yours. Humans have spent so long learning to fight that we sometimes forget how to build. You could teach us much. The council members talked among themselves in rapid Cathari. Their lights flashed in complex patterns as they debated. Torres waited patiently. He knew that this decision would affect both species for generations to come. Finally, Mithala spoke. Admiral Torres, we accept your offer of friendship and protection, but we must ask, what makes you different from the Vrak? They also claim to bring order and protection to the galaxy. Torres stood up slowly. When he reached his full height, he towered over the crystal beings. For a moment, the predator in him was visible. The Cathari could see the killer that Earth had made him into. Then Torres smiled, and the expression transformed his face. The predator was still there, but now it was protective rather than threatening, like a wolf guarding its pack. The difference, Torres said, is that the Vrak took what they wanted and called it protection. Humans give protection and ask for nothing in return except friendship. The Vrak saw you as prey to be consumed. We see you as people to be defended. How can we be sure? Femara asked. Torres gestured toward the crystal dome above them. Through the transparent walls they could see human ships in orbit, 50 vessels that could destroy the planet in minutes if they chose to. Because we have the power to take whatever we want from you, Torres said quietly, and we choose not to use it. That is the difference between predators and protectors. The council voted unanimously to accept the human alliance. As the formal ceremonies concluded, Torres walked with Zeftos to a balcony overlooking the Crystal City. In the distance, Cathari citizens were beginning to emerge from their hiding places. Children played in the streets while their parents watched the sky for returning Vrak ships that would never come. Admiral, Zeftos said, there is something I must tell you. We have sent word of your arrival to other species in the coalition. Many of them are asking for help with their own problems. Pirates, raiders, territorial disputes. Will humans help them too? Torres looked out at the peaceful city below. Somewhere in the galaxy, other innocent people were suffering at the hands of bullies and predators. Other species who had built art and music instead of weapons. Other civilizations that needed protection. Send us their locations, Torres said. We will help anyone who asks. But why? Why would you risk your lives for strangers? Torres thought about Earth, about the harsh world that had forged humanity into killers, about the choice his species had made to use their strength to protect rather than exploit. Because someone should, he said finally. The galaxy is full of predators who prey on the weak. Someone should hunt the hunters. As the purple sun set over Keth Prime, Admiral Torres made a decision that would reshape galactic civilization. Earth would no longer hide in the shadows. The Deathworlders would take their place as the galaxy's protectors. The age of human guardianship had begun. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Deathworlders were real, and they had destroyed the mighty Vrak Empire's fleet in a single battle. Species that had whispered about monsters from harsh worlds in their bedtime stories now watched, sensor recordings of human ships hunting Vrak vessels like wolves chasing rabbits. On 100 different worlds, governments held emergency meetings. Military leaders studied the battle footage frame by frame, trying to understand how 50 human ships had defeated 200 Vrak vessels so easily. Diplomats debated whether to make contact with these mysterious beings from Earth. Most importantly, oppressed species across the galaxy began to hope. The Cathari Coalition had sent out ambassadors to every peaceful civilization they knew. The message was simple. The Deathworlders had come to help. If you were being attacked by aggressors, if pirates were raiding your trade routes, if your neighbors were threatening war, the humans might help you too. Admiral Torres received the First formal request for assistance 3 days after the battle at Keth Prime. It came from the Gentle Reef Collective, a group of aquatic species whose ocean worlds were being poisoned by industrial raiders. The raiders would arrive, dump toxic waste into pristine seas, then demand payment to stop. "Sir," Commander Vasquez reported, "the Gentle Reef Collective has provided coordinates for the raider fleet. 12 ships operating out of an asteroid base in the Broken Chain system. They use the asteroids as cover for hit-and-run attacks." Torres studied the tactical display. The raider base was well defended and cleverly hidden. Most military forces would need weeks to plan an assault. The raiders had chosen their position carefully. "Recommendations?" Torres asked. "The asteroids make conventional attack difficult," replied Captain Chen, who had been promoted to fleet tactical officer. "But humans have experience with irregular warfare. I suggest we use hunter-killer teams." Torres nodded. Hunter-killer teams were small groups of human ships designed for special operations. They could sneak into enemy territory, eliminate specific targets, and disappear before anyone knew they were there. It was warfare as humans understood it, precise, efficient, and absolutely merciless to those who harmed innocents. "Prepare 3. Hunter-killer teams," Torres ordered. "I want those raiders eliminated within 48 hours. The human ships moved through hyperspace like ghosts. Each hunter-killer team consisted of a stealth destroyer, 2 attack corvettes, and a boarding ship filled with Marines. They approached the Broken Chain system from different directions, invisible to conventional sensors. The raiders never knew what hit them. The first team eliminated the outer sensor posts with silent missile strikes. The second team destroyed the raider ships that were docked at the asteroid base. The third team captured the command center and arrested the raider leadership for trial. The entire operation took 6 hours. Not a single human was injured. Not a single raider escaped. When the Gentle Reef Collective received the news, their response was transmitted across the galaxy. Recorded images of aquatic beings weeping with joy as their pristine oceans were declared safe again. Their children could swim in clean water. Their future was secure. The message was clear. The Deathworlders protected the innocent. More requests for help began arriving at the human fleet. The singing gardens of Melodia were being strip-mined by corporate armies. The crystal communes of Serenity faced invasion by their militant neighbors. The peaceful traders of the Harmony route were being robbed by organized pirate fleets. Each time, Torres sent human ships to solve the problem. Each time, the aggressors discovered what it meant to fight beings from a death world. Human military doctrine was simple: identify the threat, eliminate the threat, protect the innocent. No negotiations with pirates. No mercy for those who preyed on the weak. Word reached Earth through quantum communication relays. President Martinez called Admiral Torres for a personal briefing. "Admiral," the president said, appearing on the secure channel, "you have started something that cannot be stopped. Every peaceful species in the galaxy is asking for our help." "Yes, Madam President. Should we refuse them?" Martinez was quiet for a moment. She had been born on Earth during the resource wars, when climate change and overpopulation had nearly destroyed human civilization. She understood what it meant to need help and have nowhere to turn. "No," she said finally, "but we need to be smart about this. The galaxy is about to learn that humans exist. Some species will welcome us. Others will see us as a threat. We need to be ready for both reactions." "What are your orders, Madam President?" "Establish the Terran Protectorate. Any species that asks for protection against aggressors will receive it. Any species that threatens peaceful civilizations will face human intervention. Make it clear that we are not conquerors, we are guardians." Torres smiled. "Understood, Madam President. What about species that might try to test our resolve? Show them why Earth is called a death world, Admiral. Show them what happens when predators meet an apex predator." The test came sooner than expected. The Hegemon Empire had ruled 40-star systems with an iron fist for 300 years. They were not like the Vrak, who conquered through overwhelming force. The Hegemons were subtle. They used economic pressure, political manipulation, and carefully targeted assassinations to control their neighbors. When they heard about humans, the hegemon saw an opportunity. These Deathworlders were clearly powerful, but they seemed to care about protecting weaklings. That caring could be used against them. Emperor Vexthul of the Hegemon Empire sent a formal challenge to Admiral Torres. It was delivered by a diplomatic courier ship that approached the human fleet under a flag of truce. Admiral Torres, the message began, I am Emperor Vexthul of the Hegemon Empire. We have observed your recent activities with interest. You claim to protect peaceful species, but you do so through violence. This makes you hypocrites. The holographic image of the Emperor appeared above the tactical display. He was a tall, thin being with pale skin and dark eyes. His species had evolved from ambush predators, and it showed in his careful movements and calculating expression. We challenge your right to interfere in galactic affairs, the message continued. The Cathari system that you currently occupy belongs to us by right of conquest. We demand that you withdraw immediately. Torres raised an eyebrow. They are claiming ownership of Keth Prime? Apparently, sir, Commander Vasquez replied. According to their message, they have economic contracts with the Vrak Empire. When the Vrak conquered the Cathari, ownership was supposed to transfer to the Hegemon Empire. I see. And what exactly do they plan to do if we refuse to leave? The Emperor's message continued. If you do not withdraw from our territory within 72 hours, we will be forced to remove you. We have allies throughout the galaxy. Many species fear your aggressive expansion and will support us against you. Torres studied the intelligence reports on the Hegemon Empire. They were clever, patient, and absolutely ruthless. They had spent centuries building a network of allies and client states. If they chose to oppose humanity, they could potentially unite much of the galaxy against Earth. Sir, Captain Chen reported, we are detecting multiple fleets moving toward this system. The Hegemons have called in their allies. We count approximately 500 ships from 12 different species. Torres nodded calmly. This was the test President Martinez had predicted. How humanity responded to this challenge would determine their place in galactic civilization. Open a channel to the Hegemon courier ship, Torres ordered. The Emperor appeared on the main screen. Behind him, Torres could see other Hegemon officials watching the conversation. They looked confident, almost smug. They believed they had trapped the humans. Emperor Vexthul, Torres said politely, I have received your message. Thank you for clarifying your position. Will you withdraw from our territory? The Emperor asked. No. The simple word hung in the air like a weapon. Emperor Vexthul's confident expression faltered slightly. You refuse? Even though you are outnumbered 10-1? Torres smiled. It was the same smile he had shown Admiral Grokvar, the smile of a predator who had been underestimated. Emperor, Torres said quietly, you have made the same mistake the Vrak made. You assume that numbers are the only thing that matters in warfare. You are wrong. We have 500 ships, Admiral. You have 50. You have 500 ships filled with crews who have never fought a real war, Torres replied. Species who learned combat by conquering peaceful farmers and merchants. We have 50 ships crewed by beings from a death world. There is a difference. We shall see. The transmission ended. Torres turned to his crew. All ships, this is Admiral Torres. We are about to face the largest fleet engagement in human history. Today we will show the galaxy why Earth is feared even in legends. Today we prove that humans are the apex predators of space. Around the bridge, human officers prepared for battle with calm efficiency. They had trained their entire lives for moments like this. Earth had taught them that survival meant being better killers than anything that wanted to kill them. Sir, Commander Vasquez reported, the combined enemy fleet is dropping out of hyperspace. Torres watched the tactical display as enemy ships appeared around the Cathari system. 500 vessels from a dozen different species. Some were as large as space stations. Others moved in perfect formation like schools of fish. All of them were converging on the human fleet. Impressive, Torres admitted. They have certainly brought enough ships. Orders, sir? Torres looked out at the crystal cities of Keth, Prime below. Somewhere down there, Cathari families were watching the sky and wondering if the Deathworlders who had saved them would be strong enough to save them again. "Signal the fleet," Torres said. "All ships weapons free. Commence Operation Apex Predator. Show them what Deathworlders do to those who threaten our pack." The human fleet moved forward to meet 500 enemy ships. The odds were 10 to 1 against humanity. The galaxy was about to learn why that was not nearly enough. The Battle of Keth Prime became the most studied military engagement in galactic history. 500 ships from 12 different species against 50 human vessels. Every military academy in known space would teach this battle for the next 1,000 years. Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the enemy fleet spread across the star system like a metal constellation. The hegemon empire had brought their best allies. The crystalline hierarchies with their energy-draining weapons. The swarm collectives with their countless drone ships. The Iron Dominion with their massive battle fortresses. "Analysis?" Torres asked. Captain Chen pulled up the tactical data. 537 ships total, sir. Mix of heavy battleships, carrier groups, and support vessels. They are forming a standard encirclement pattern. Classic overwhelming force doctrine. Weaknesses? They have never fought together before. 12 different species means 12 different communication protocols, command structures, and tactical doctrines. They will have coordination problems. Torres nodded. The enemy had quantity, but humans had something more important: unity of purpose. Every human ship captain understood the mission: protect the innocent, eliminate the threat. No exceptions. "Sir," Commander Vasquez reported, "incoming transmission from the Hegemon flagship." "Put it on screen." Emperor Vexthul appeared, flanked by the leaders of his allied species. The crystalline hierarchy's ambassador sparkled like a living gemstone. The Swarm Collective's Queen Mind pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. The Iron Dominion's war chief wore armor that could withstand a nuclear blast. "Admiral Torres," Emperor Vexthul said, "this is your final opportunity to withdraw. We have assembled the largest fleet in galactic history. You cannot possibly win." Torres looked at the display showing enemy ship positions. The aliens had formed a perfect sphere around the human fleet. Textbook encirclement tactics. They intended to attack from all directions simultaneously. "Emperor," Torres replied, "you have certainly brought an impressive number of ships. I am curious about something, though. Have any of your allies ever fought humans before?" "That is irrelevant. Numbers speak for themselves." "Do they? Tell me, Emperor, how many of your species have ever fought a real war? Not a conquest of peaceful farmers, but an actual war against an enemy that could fight back?" Vexithul's expression flickered with uncertainty. "We have conquered dozens of star systems. Conquered, not fought. There is a difference." Torres leaned forward in his command chair. "Today you will learn what that difference means." The transmission ended. Torres activated the fleet communication channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Torres. Today we face the largest enemy force in human history. The galaxy is watching to see if 50 human ships can stand against 500 alien vessels. They expect us to fail. They expect us to run. They do not understand what Earth taught us." Across the human fleet, crews prepared for battle. In engineering sections, fusion reactors spun up to combat power. In weapons bays, missiles were armed and railguns were charged. In marine quarters, assault troops checked their armor and weapons. "Earth taught us that the universe does not care if we live or die," Torres continued. "It taught us that if we want to protect what we love, we must be stronger than anything that threatens it. Today we protect not just ourselves, but every peaceful species in the galaxy." The human ships began to move, not toward the enemy, but into a tight formation that looked almost defensive. The aliens interpreted this as fear. They were wrong. "The enemy expects us to fight like they do," Torres said. "Ship against ship, formation against formation. They expect a fair fight. We are going to give them a human fight instead." The first phase of the battle began when the Swarm Collective launched their drone attack. Thousands of small ships poured out of their carriers like angry insects. Each drone was controlled by the collective mind of their queen. They moved in perfect coordination, overwhelming enemy defenses through sheer numbers. The human response was immediate and devastating. Instead of trying to shoot down individual drones, the human ships fired area effect weapons into the swarm formations. Cluster bombs that released hundreds of smaller explosives. Plasma charges that created fields of superheated gas. Gravity weapons that crushed dozens of drones at once. The Swarm Queen mind had never encountered weapons designed to kill large numbers of small targets. Her drones were used to facing enemies who fired single shots at single targets. The human weapons turned her advantage into a liability. The tighter her formations, the more drones died with each shot. Phase 1 complete, reported Captain Chen. Enemy drone forces reduced by 70%. The crystalline hierarchies attacked next. Their ships fired focused energy beams that could drain power from enemy vessels. It was an elegant weapon that disabled rather than destroyed. Very civilized. Very ineffective against humans. Human ships did not rely solely on their power cores during combat. Every vessel had backup systems, emergency batteries, and manual overrides. When the crystalline weapons drained their main power, human ships switched to backup systems and kept fighting. More importantly, humans understood the concept of acceptable losses. When 3 human destroyers lost main power to crystalline energy drains, they did not retreat or try to recharge. They used their remaining momentum to ram the nearest enemy ships. The crystalline hierarchies watched in horror as human vessels turned themselves into kinetic weapons. This was not how civilized species conducted warfare. You were supposed to disable enemy ships, not destroy them with suicide attacks. They are using their ships as projectiles, the crystalline ambassador reported with shock. This is barbaric. This is war, Torres replied over the open channel. Welcome to how Deathworlders fight. The Iron Dominion tried to use their massive battle fortresses to crush the human fleet. Each fortress was the size of a small moon, armed with enough weapons to sterilize a planet. They moved slowly but inexorably toward the human formation. The human response was to scatter like startled prey, then regroup behind the fortresses. Before the Iron Dominion could turn their massive ships around, human boarding pods launched from every direction. Hundreds of pods filled with human marines, in powered armor. The Iron Dominion had built their fortresses to withstand external attack. They had not considered internal assault. Human marines moved through the corridors like apex predators hunting in their natural habitat. The fortress crews found themselves fighting enemies who had trained for close combat since childhood. Sir, the Iron Dominion war chief reported to Emperor Vexthal, the humans have taken Battle Fortress Prime. They are using our own weapons against us. Vexthal watched his grand alliance falling apart. The tactics that had worked for centuries against conventional enemies were useless against humans. These Deathworlders fought without honor, without mercy, without any regard for the accepted rules of warfare. All ships, Vexthal commanded, focus fire on the human flagship. Destroy their command structure. 200 ships turned their weapons toward the Indomitable. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and kinetic projectiles converged on Admiral Torres's position. Enough firepower to vaporize a small asteroid. The human fleet responded instantly. Every ship moved to protect their flagship. Some used their own hulls as shields. Others fired interceptor missiles to stop incoming projectiles. A few launched electronic countermeasures that confused enemy targeting systems. But most importantly, the human ships fought as a pack. Each vessel protected every other vessel. When one ship was damaged, others covered its retreat. When ammunition ran low, ships shared supplies. When crew members were injured, medical teams transferred between vessels during combat. They fight like a single organism, whispered the Swarm Queen mind, who understood collective behavior better than any other species. Torres smiled. We fight like a family. The battle raged for 6 hours. The enemy fleet had every advantage except the one that mattered most. They had never learned to fight for something greater than themselves. The humans fought to protect the innocent. The aliens fought for conquest, profit, or political advantage. By the end, 200 alien ships were destroyed or disabled. 300 others retreated when their commanders realized they were losing. Only 30 enemy vessels remained, and those were trying to surrender. The human fleet had lost 7 ships and suffered damage to 15 others. Not a single human vessel had retreated, not a single crew had surrendered. Emperor Vexthal stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display show the destruction of his grand alliance. The hegemon empire's reputation for invincibility was shattered. His allies were fleeing or surrendering. His dreams of galactic domination were dying in the void. "What are you?" he whispered to Admiral Torres. "We are humans," Torres replied. "We are the children of Earth. We learned to fight by surviving on a world that tried to kill us every day. We learned to protect by losing things we loved to predators and disasters. Today you discovered what happens when bullies meet an apex predator. What will you do with us?" Torres looked out at the crystal cities of Keth Prime. The battle had been fought to protect those peaceful beings below. They had asked for help, and humanity had answered. That was all that mattered. "Emperor Vexthal," Torres said formally, "the hegemon empire will cease all aggressive activities immediately. You will withdraw from systems belonging to peaceful species. You will release any prisoners or slaves in your custody. You will pay reparations for the damage you have caused. And if we refuse? Then we will hunt down every hegemon ship in the galaxy. We will find your homeworlds. We will introduce your people to the reality of fighting Deathworlders." Vexthal looked at his tactical display one more time. The human fleet floated among the wreckage of 500 allied ships. 50 human vessels had defeated the largest military force ever assembled in this region of space. "We accept your terms," he said quietly. News of the Battle of Keth Prime spread across the galaxy faster than light-speed communications. The impossible had happened. 50 ships from an unknown species had defeated 500 vessels from the galaxy's established powers. On 1,000 different worlds, oppressed species looked up at the stars and whispered a new word: hope. On another 1,000 worlds, aggressive empires looked at their military plans and wondered if they were strong enough to face the Deathworlders. President Martinez called Admiral Torres from Earth. "Admiral, the entire galaxy knows about us now. Every species in known space is trying to contact Earth. Half want to join us. The other half want to surrender before we attack them." "What are your orders, Madam President?" "Establish the Terran Protectorate officially. Any species that asks for protection will receive it. Any species that threatens peaceful civilizations will face human intervention. Make it clear to everyone that we are not conquerors. We are guardians." Torres looked out at the stars beyond Keth Prime. Somewhere in that vast darkness, innocent people were suffering under the rule of tyrants and predators. Pirates were raiding peaceful trade routes. Slavers were capturing families to sell in distant markets. Warlords were planning conquests of defenseless worlds. "Understood, Madam President. What should we call ourselves?" "The Terran Protectorate Defense Fleet. Guardians of the innocent. Hunters of those who prey on the weak." Admiral Torres activated the galaxy-wide communication network. His message would reach every inhabited system in known space. "People of the galaxy," he began. "I am Admiral Marcus Torres of the Terran Protectorate Defense Fleet. We are humans from the world called Earth. Earth is what you call a death world. It taught us to be strong so we could protect those who cannot protect themselves." The message was translated into 1,000 languages and broadcast on every frequency. "Today begins a new age in galactic civilization. The age of protection for the innocent. If you are peaceful and someone threatens you, call for help. We will answer. If you prey on the weak and defenseless, we will find you. We will stop you." Torres paused, looking out at the crystal cities below. "The Deathworlders have come out of hiding. We are here to stay. To those who would harm the innocent, remember that Earth taught us to hunt. To those who seek protection, remember that Earth taught us to guard our pack." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, 1 billion species received the same message in their own languages. The children of the Death World had announced themselves to the universe. The age of human guardianship had begun. On Keth Prime, Ambassador Zeftos stood in his crystal tower, watching human ships patrol the system. The Deathworlders had kept their promise. They had protected his people from those who would destroy them. "Femara," he said to his young aide, "send a message to our coalition partners. Tell them the galaxy is safe now. Tell them the humans will protect us all. As the purple sun set over the crystal cities, Zeftos thought about the future. For the first time in centuries, it looked bright. The Deathworlders had come when called. They had fought when needed. They had shown mercy to the defeated and protection to the innocent. The galaxy would never be the same. In the darkness between stars, predator species that had ruled through fear began to reconsider their life choices. Somewhere out there, the children of Earth were watching, waiting, ready to answer any call for help. The universe had learned a new truth. When you send an SOS to the void, sometimes the monsters that answer are on your side.